we're here to tell you if the gun comes out and it's pointing at your head, just like Ricky Whittaker here, the mistake he made is he didn't kill her. This was an intimidation tool. She said no 3 times. No, no, no. At 6 in the morning. The gun went up, the knife came out. It's a different scenario now. That's an anger scenario, and that's a silent killer. I don't do knife fights. But I run. He can throw it at me. Does that make sense? And I'll tell you something about handguns too, which is important, especially for the people that don't shoot handguns. I shot for 10 years in the Air Marshal program. I can tell you that because I'm no longer doing that. I just retired from FedEx this week, so which I'm pretty excited about because of this mission. I used to shoot all the time. Let me tell you about handguns. Okay, a few more minutes. I shot a handgun for 10 years. I probably shot 10,000 rounds through it. Every time I shot it, I cleaned it. I broke it down. I made sure it worked for me. You know, 75% of the handguns 2 years ago taken off in the state of Kentucky, 75% of the guns that the law enforcement took off the street didn't work. Wrong bullets, never been cleaned. And the guy that had it probably bought it from somebody that stole it from Brentwood and bought it for 25 bucks. You think he goes down to the Army and shoots for $15 an hour? You think he cleans the weapon? No. Those are important things to understand. Also with a handgun, when the blood pressure gets up, I can tell you from experience, 3 to 5 yards away, I'm not very accurate. That's the truth, because the blood pressure spoils a lot of things. So I just want you to understand, this is what we talk about, because it's being safe and being vigilant is understanding the threat, which those of us that have had the experience of training understand that. So I can tell you right now in closing, there's something that I never want to experience again. And I mentioned Lauren Burke a few minutes ago. I invited her parents 3 years after her death to come to one of our training sessions because I honor Lauren, and I would tell the audience, this is a gift from Lauren Burke, because I showed a picture and tell what happened. You didn't see her today. So I invited her parents, wrote a nice letter, and I'm driving home from Memphis, and my phone rings, don't know who it is. I answer, and he says, Moose, this is Jim Burke, Lauren's dad, 3 years after her death. And he says, man, I would love to come, and I so appreciate what you're doing. But he says, I can't, it's too soon. And I said, you know, I didn't want to talk, I was nervous, and I said, Jim, I understand, and then he says this to me, this is what I never want to hear again. I never taught Lauren anything. Silence. I could feel his tears coming through the phone. I said, Jim, that's not your fault, because there's bad people out there. But I can tell you right now, we raise our daughters, our granddaughters, to be gentle spirits and gentle lambs. We do. They're beautiful. We give them dance lessons, soccer lessons, we give them music lessons, and then we send them off at 17 or 18 with no curfew, no rules. And guess what? There's a lot of predators out there preying on them. 85% of all sexual assaults are done by someone you have an acquaintance with. That's really significant. Somebody you might recognize in class, whatever. So that's, I never want to hear that again. And my challenge to you, business leaders, community leaders, is this. You have a ton of influence over a lot of people. I think the greatest gift you could ever give them is the power of vigilance and safety. That's all I got. Now, I got 10 minutes. I got time left.
Is it true that our success in fighting back is because criminals rarely expect or plan for anybody to fight?
Absolutely, and that's a great question. I did not plan it, but here's what I have. I have a white paper that was written by sexual predators from the prison system, much like Scared Stiff and that sort of program. They say, if you fight back, first of all, they choose you. One, I tell you right now, ladies, if you're out by yourself, and the number one place for assaults are grocery store parking lots, mall garages, those are like primary, because there's no men around when you're shopping and going to the grocery store. But they'll tell you, they pick one, they want one, they don't want two. Why do they want to pick on two? Because one's a witness. So they go after one. And they go after someone they think they can control, not paying attention, I can intimidate. And we go through separate stages because we have the young girls, do we have anybody in the automobile insurance business here and rental cars? You can't rent a car till you're 25. because you're not developed enough, and they understand that. So the truth is, our younger generation gets targeted, probably between the ages of 12 up to maybe early 30s, and then as we get smarter in the 35 to 45 to 50, we got life skills now, and we recognize it. And then as we get older and we start getting into the retirement age, then we become targets again, right? We got money, we got jewelry, we're by ourselves. We probably aren't very strong. Yes, they go after singles, but if you fight, we used to say 1 to 2 minutes. You know what we say now? The little girl that yesterday that turned and grabbed me by the throat, that fight lasted 10 seconds. That was all he wanted. And hopefully the next time it ever happens, she'll go really for the windpipe and show them what she can do with it. But the point is, that fight lasted 10 seconds just 2 days ago or 3 weeks ago in her description to me. Yes, sir?
I noticed in the time I spent on the past, a lot of single women going on. Everybody's got earbuds in or they're texting.
Absolutely.
And anybody can do anything they want from behind because they never see it.
It's, I'm telling you, once again, we feel secure. You probably wouldn't do that over off of Shelby Avenue or 5th Avenue or 5th Street if you're over on that side. We get secure here. And it's really funny you say that because we're on the trail together a bunch. And I see young women, if I have the opportunity, I will say, ooh, can I tell you, to be heads up, because it's important. Young moms, they're real targets, because young moms come out with 2 or 3 children. I have a bunch of grandkids. My daughters have had 3 at a time in strollers and car seats and things. And when I tell them, first of all, when you come out of that store, pay attention to who's around you and what's next to you. If you don't like it, go back inside. Delay 5 minutes, big deal. But if you get to that point, I know how old most people in here, raise your hand if you were raised without seat belts. Oh, and you lived. Wow. That's the point, because our young kids don't know that. And I tell them all the time, you get to your car, open the car door, throw them in. Put them in the, if they've got a car seat, sit them down. Hey, Junior, get in quick. We're going to shut and lock the door. Don't move anywhere. Just get in the car and lock it. Now you can move. It's a pain in the butt. Nobody wants to do it. It's hard. But if you feel like you're threatened, that's not a bad technique. Just something. Is there any other questions? Yes, sir.
I've been looking at doing Krav Maga.
Yes.
It seems like it's a pretty long, to get the skill set, it's pretty long to
Well, I owned a Krav Maga school, and I did it for 10 years in Memphis. I'll tell you right now, and I'm not trying to take business from anyone, but here's what, when you sign up for Krav Maga school, I'm sorry, I've said it too much. When you sign up for that, you're going to be paying monthly, you're going to be paying over a long period of time. I can tell you that our program and what we teach, and I have a Navy SEAL that teaches with us, and we've got our curriculum down. We have 4 levels that we go through, 2 hours each, 2, 4, 6, 8. At the end of 8 hours, if you did all 4 levels, I promise you will be you'll have a knowledge that probably would have taken you 6 or 8 months to get to. We don't, when you do Krav Maga fitness, it's a lot about getting fit. And that we do, there's a lot of cardio involved and getting strong and working on your core. I can tell you, at 65, I'm not fighting more than 10 seconds. I'm not in for the 2-minute rounds, okay?
we need to talk.
So I'm just telling you, that's what and once again, we're not a self-defense school, but we do when we teach and we have our levels. We talk about the vigilance and safety first, and then if you want to do more, we'll teach you more along the way to make you feel confident and safe. It's about empowerment. And it's about understanding what your body does. It's not about fighting. But to answer your question, it's like everything else. I had a friend of mine that was attacked in Owensville, Kroger. This was an older lady. Her husband ends up calling me 3 days later because when she was attacked, she fought back. He knocked her down. By the way, we never fight for things, right? We give up our iPads, our phones, our Alexas. We give all that away. They can all be replaced. But she fought him. She was a doctor, and she got beat up. Her husband calls me 2 days later and says, "Can you help train my wife?" I called one of the very famous local karate schools that's all over Nashville, and they said, "Ooh, we don't teach self-defense. We're a karate school." And I can tell you, I have a black belt that I earned in Korea. I call it macho aerobic dancing. I've learned a lot more from the skill set because they have rules. MMA has rules. Judo has rules. Fighting for your life, there's no rules. That might be a pencil in the soft tissue, wherever you can poke it. That's that's quite acceptable. Any other questions? Yes, sir.
Actually, I recently started training in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
Yeah.
I just, if you could kind of give me a brief perspective, is that something that can also be used for pretty good for self-defense, or was something like
Well,
that?
here's how I feel about that. When you do jiu-jitsu, yes, absolutely. Anything you can do is suddenly and quickly without going to the ground. You know, you see all this up on TV, but submission hold, that's all wonderful. But if you're in the street fighting for your life and you go to the ground, somebody's going to probably kick you in the head. You're going to be taken out. So when we talk about the physical side of it, we say never go to the ground and run. In fact, when I tell women we get into this, and we don't try to teach too much because it's just the principles, but I tell you this, and so ladies, nod your head if you understand when I tell you, become a tornado. Does that make sense when I say, hey, become a tornado? If you have to fight, become a tornado. That's fast, that's violent, and that's gone. And that's what, if you think of nothing else, that's another takeaway for you, by the way. That's free. So for my lunch, if somebody, if it comes on to you within 10 seconds, become a tornado. You got a lot of weapons. You got fingernails, you got headbutts, but to answer your question, absolutely, don't prolong it. I don't want the fight to last very long. Yeah, Greg?
Bruce, you're talking about one-on-one, one criminal. How about if there's a gang?
Well, that's a good question. And so here's what I've learned in my studies. If you have to fight a group and you can't get out of the group fight, you know you've been cornered, I try to put closest target, closest weapon. So you can't fight 5 at one time, but you're the only person in that group, if you're getting ready to be attacked, that knows where the next punch is going to go. Because the other 5 haven't coordinated the fight, right? So if I become a tornado, I'm going to try to strike the first one I can. I might go for the kneecap. You know it takes 15 pounds of pressure to collapse a knee. If you're 350 pounds, 6'8", it takes 15 pounds of pressure to collapse a knee. That's my go-to weapon, by the way. It's easy to do. I can go front into it, make it go inverted. He's going to go down. I'm going to run. So, but to fight multiples, you got to be. You can only fight the closest one at a time. But I'm going to fight this one before he reacts. I'm going to hit another one. Before he reacts, I'm going to hit another one. And I'm going to be using everything I got. And I'm going to be slobbering, and I'm going to be throwing arms and elbows and looking for an escape avenue. But to back up, Greg, why was I there? Well, I got to let 4 or 5 surround me. That's the point that we're trying to make. Now, this knockout game that we saw on TV so much, where people go down in gangs and they're hitting people that unsuspected, knocking them out. If they come from behind you, there's not much you can do. But not many people get close to me that I don't take a look. If they're coming opposite me, I'm going to give a wide berth. And I think about what my reaction is going to be if I see some aggression. I don't live in paranoia, I just live ready. Yes, ma'am?
Do you have advice on carrying a weapon?
So that's a great question, and I'm a big Second Amendment guy, and I have a concealed carry. Do I carry? Not very often. And the reason for that, when I did carry for the government, I was trained repeatedly on weapon retention, how to maintain control of the weapon, and how to pull it out in 3 seconds and shoot 3 rounds through center mass. Highly skilled, highly trained. Most women, because a lot of women want to carry concealed, unless you have it in a pocketbook that has one of the secret compartments with your hand on the butt strap and you're ready to pull it out and shoot it. But here's the psychological part of it. The only reason I would ever pull out a gun is to kill someone, period. There's no in between for that. Think about that. One of the cardinal rules is never point a weapon unless you're going to shoot it. So I will tell you this, and this will be my last story, because I believe in it, but you better be trained on it and you better be mentally prepared to kill someone with. And then, oh, by the way, you're going to get arrested and you're going to go until it's all sorted out. I had one trip with my wife. I was on the Southwest Airlines. I've been carrying, and I was carrying on this particular flight. We're sitting in the cabin, Southwest Airlines. I sit down, and she leans over and says this to me. We're going to see my daughter in San Francisco, and it sounded this loud. It was not this loud. Sure glad you got your gun today. I said, oh, I know it wasn't that loud. I go, please. So I told her, I said, sweetheart, just so you know, let's get the rules straight. If you see me go for my bag and you see me pull a gun out, go to the floor, because I'm killing someone today. And that is the mindset you have to have if you're a concealed carry person. I believe in having a gun in your home to protect someone coming in your home. But if you're going to carry personally, you better be prepared to do the deed and be trained to do the deed. So I'll stick around. I know it's 1 o'clock. I'll stick around for as long as anybody wants to ask me questions. I know it's 1. Thank you so much for letting me come.